As I begin this, I just want to apologize for putting so much drama into people's timelines these past few weeks. I hope you all can believe me when I say that it absolutely wasn't my intention to stress people out. I only posted to spread awareness and to talk about my experiences with Lalaa, or as you all may know, Lakin. I don't want you all inserting yourselves or feeling like you have to choose a side. This isn't why I chose to bring light to any of this. Before I mention trigger warnings for upcoming topics, I'd just like to state that Boo and all other victims I speak on behalf of, or any other parties, they have given me permission to speak and show their stories, and if at any time they'd like this removed, then it'll be removed. But for now, I'll just be leaving it up as an archive post, and then after this, that'll be it. I will also be censoring any information that is deemed to be too personal to be public, or any minors, or any people with undefined ages, as I do take minor safety very seriously. With that said, there will be mentions of uses of slurs, encouraging people to die or hurting themselves, acts of self-harm or attempted suicide, transphobia, fatphobia, and heavy amounts of emotional abuse, as long as racism. And if you're not comfortable currently, please don't continue throughout this post. It is my duty to my community and the Animal Jam community as a whole to ensure the safety of its members. If you or anyone else that you may know is struggling with any of these that are going to be mentioned, here is a website, and with local numbers for most of the topics mentioned, so there's that. And if you can't access any of those, please go tell a trusted loved one or someone who can help. I just want you to know that you are not alone, and that you are loved, brave, and appreciated, and anything you may do or say is very brave of you, and that you are, again, loved and appreciated. Thank you for listening. Let us continue. I'd also like to mention that I'm reading this off a script just so I have everything put in place, or I guess you can call it notes instead of a script. That way I don't lose track of anything, and we can cover as much as possible. Anyways, I really didn't think that it would have to come to this, me making a sort of post or like a video, since I've been silent for 4 years about a lot of the things that he's put me and my friends through. But you know, and by this I mean, you know, making a monetized 30-minute video about your relationship issues and your relationship sexual issues, and, you know, talking about it to your community, which happens to be a group, like, not like a group, but definitely a community full of children, is a little weird, and definitely involving a community that wasn't meant to be involved in the first place. And just not going to the police about it if any of the things that he mentioned did happen. I don't really know if that's an option, but I do know that if any of those things that he mentioned did happen to them, then I am sorry for that, and I hope that he gets the help that he needs for that. But regardless, the accusations that Lakin has made are incredibly serious and mostly come with lack of proof. 90% of the video that I've mentioned and am going to be discussing is just him lying and manipulating the narrative to fit his views and ideologies so he can obtain the upper hand and sympathy card from his viewers. And I personally find that to be very disgusting, how he and his mods have enabled this sort of behavior and how they've handled it. And all of the lies and misused terms and all of that, on top of his past behaviors prior to his now recently deleted video. We're going to dig into this, and by the end of it, there's probably not going to be much left, but just a memory of a transphobic, racist, fatphobic narcissist who quite honestly only cares to leech off of his viewers and friends. For starters, he states that his video isn't monetized when it is. Proof right here, literally monetized. Not even like a minute or so into the video, he says, oh, well, it's not monetized, which is honestly quite fucked up if you're going to monetize a video talking about your relationship issues and not giving the full extent of what happened to both parties. Showing proof of that as we speak. On top of that, he claims that he wasn't in a relationship prior to Boo, which is also false. He and I dated prior, even if not for long. A lot of what happened within those 1 to 2 months that we dated was a metric amount of mental abuse, manipulation, telling me to harm myself or kill myself whenever he was frustrated, threatening me and stealing items from me and guilt-tripping me into giving my items away too. A lot of this was actually covered in this Patch the Alpha video that's up on the screen. I'll make sure to link that if you want to watch it.
In recent days, the name Sonny Hobie was closely related to him. You see, Sonny is his 12-year-old e-girl which he has scammed, manipulated, and
if many of you didn't know, my old username used to be Sonny Hobie, and back in 2019, let's see, I was probably, during when most of this happened, me and Lakin were both 14 to 15, so it's been a fat minute. But Lakin claims that he's told people about his past before, even when me and many other people have inquired with his fans. It seems that that was another lie, and looking back on it now and looking forward, and looking at how he is currently, he has little to no remorse or feeling regarding how awful he treated me throughout me knowing him. Mind you, I have known him since 2018, and we dated throughout 2019, so at least twice we've dated. and words cannot express the amount of trauma and paranoia he has caused me and my friends, along with him being transphobic towards me, as of recently purposely misgendering me, and, because in his own words, it's a respect thing, which just doesn't make any fucking sense. And, despite having many of his fans being trans and a majority of the community itself being queer and trans individuals, it's ironic he says he supports the LGBTQIA community as a whole, just to pull this without thinking that it wouldn't come back to bite him. Quite literally, proof of a majority of his community being trans and or under some sort of queer umbrella is all of these comments under the giveaway video that me and him did. And as a queer creator myself, it baffles me how backsided that is, to just misgender someone and make them feel less than human just because you don't like them. Like, I don't like him and a lot of his staff team just because of the dick riding and the enabling his horrible behavior and, trying to be my doctor and all these horrible things that they've said and done to me, and all of the misinformation they've spread about me. And a lot of them are trans, but you have never seen me misgender them. And if I somehow have, it has probably been because I don't know their pronouns, and never has it been an intention of mine to make someone feel less than human or literally misgender them. Like, I don't see a point in doing that. Him and Boo were originally some of the first people I had trusted and came out with about using he/they pronouns. I started using he/they pronouns back at the end of May after my trip to Texas with a friend, and I figured out that when talking to other queer people and stuff, that I liked the idea of using more masculine terms and masculine pronouns. And, what does he do the second I start, bettering myself and doing things for myself? He only refers to me as a girl. And he never bothered to acknowledge it or apologize for it, to my knowledge, and any apology he has ever gave me after being corrected or held accountable by our friends. Again, here's an example of that. He quite honestly has not thought about any of the apologies that he has gave me or any other people, and they've all been rushed. And if it wasn't me or Boo writing his apologies for him when we dated, then he honestly wouldn't get as much sympathy as he does now. The majority of my issues resurfaced and stemmed from a situation where he had wrongfully accused a friend of mine, like a mutual friend of mine at the time, named Asta, who also goes by Licht now, of being a scammer because there was an issue between Licht and another jammer who I won't name because they're a minor. And that minor had gone to Lalaa about it, or I guess Lakin about it, instead of going to Licht, and there was like a whole side drama. It was really fucking stupid. And it honestly could have been sorted. And, instead of asking Licht about it and being literally civil about it, he just starts throwing accusations left and right. And I got demoted after that. I got ostracized from his community, and then after that they started talking about how I'm mentally ill and how controversial I am and all these other things. And basically they created a lie or whatever that I had lung cancer, which I've never stated that I have lung cancer or any sort of cancer, because I don't, from my knowledge. Which in return of him spreading my personal information and illnesses, I was doxxed, to which his response was, "It's not my issue," after me and many other people had brought it up to him, and when it happened due to his negligence and ignorance towards me and my safety, and his own community's safety. And in light of this, we think it was someone in his community, but we've never gone to find out who it was. But they sent me a photo of my face and my address and told me to, again, heavy trigger warning here, told me to slit my wrists and cut myself and all of these other horrible fucking things. And, I guess it's not his issue, I guess, even though it's literally stemmed from his community. And it baffles me, because if something like that happened in my community when I still streamed, or happened at all, I would take accountability for that, because it happened because of me. And I'm not saying that it's directly his fault, because it's also just my fault for sharing too much of my information with him, I guess, or even talking about my illnesses, even though that I thought it was a safe space and I felt safe. But it's also on him for not holding himself accountable for putting me in danger like that, because he started a rumor that got me doxxed and harassed. But regardless of that, he has quite honestly exiled me and a bunch of other creators from his community, ruined reputations, especially other content creators like Asta. And, speaking of Asta or Licht, in his own words, he comes forward saying this, and I quote, "For starters, Lalaa wasn't always the nicest. He'd play nice, but if in any way you got too close or posed a threat to him as someone who could," and I quote, "overpower him as a content creator, he'd shut them down and put a bad name on them. He did just that to me, ruined my chance at becoming a content creator and influencer for the new generations to come. My goal was to make a safe environment for the community, somewhere people could go and be safe. Lalaa ruined that for me, accusing me of being a scammer and a liar. And how all of that started, like I said, was because there was a misunderstanding about art and a giveaway that Asta was holding in his server, which is now deleted, by the way, because of raiders and drama. And, Asta couldn't get online at the time because he was working. And so it was, again, something that could have been sorted in DMs, but Lakin decided to insert himself just for the fun of it. And after that, continued to tell a bunch of other people, after, ostracizing the both of us from his community, that I was a horrible person and whatever other bullshit they spewed, which, to each their own. You can think what you want. I'm not... At the time, I was worried about it, but now that I don't really make content anymore, I don't really care what happens to this channel and this page and this name. It's far gone at this point. But the fact that he had the audacity to do that to someone else who had been there for him besides me is just, again, baffling. And I'm not going to discredit his efforts and how much he's grown, because I will admit a lot of it is by his own doing. But if it wasn't for me and Licht and a bunch of other people giving him items, me making him art, by the way, him and Boo, which Boo is great, so... she can continue to use my art, but me giving him gift art and him continuing to use it after our fallout, which is literally art theft, because I think any artist who listens to this understands that it's common sense where if you have a fallout with someone and you make them art for free, and you say, and I quote, well, hey, like, I would really appreciate it if you didn't use this, I don't want my name to be attached to you, and they continue to use it, didn't pay for it, none of that, and you continue to use it, that's quite honestly considered art theft by, like, art community standards. And he was too lazy to remove any of it, and it was really weird, because it's like one click, quite literally one click, not that hard. And in less recent news, regarding him shutting down creators and feeling threatened by them, we have Stolen, which is also goes by Sai. Sai, if you're here, I love you. Sorry. But who he has doxxed, which is shown in the patched alpha video, helped send cow feces to because of that. So them getting doxxed led to someone sending them cow feces, and he has, I'm pretty sure, have yet to apologize for that and won't hold himself accountable for that. And it's made them mentally spiral a multitude of times. Recently, as of this year, adding them to a group chat with another creator who I won't name just because I really don't want to have to, like, dig through all of this more than I have to, but basically harassing them and being incredibly passive aggressive, and lying straight to their face about his reputation and victim blaming them yet again. And I'm not a doctor or anything, but I am going to prescribe this as seeing an incredibly common pattern of mental abuse. And the abuse that he puts his friends through whenever they're not as useful to him anymore is just, again, baffling. That's, like, literally bewildering. I don't understand it. But once you no longer become useful to him or beneficial to growing his brand, then he will ditch you, or in my case, exile you from his community and continue to shit talk you and do as many things as he can to ruin your reputation just because, well, why not? Unfortunately, by no one's surprise, that isn't even the surface level or end of his horrible behavioral issues. He's consistently been passive-aggressive to other creators. He's been transphobic to other fans of his as well, even as going as far to send a witch hunt out on a smaller trans creator for not accepting his severe undertrade. Him and his server misgendered the individual and caused great harm over a plaque, a literal HOW plaque, an in-game item. Mind you, he is an adult. He is fully capable of knowing right from wrong, on top of having some sort of sense to control his community. And he makes this excuse every time someone says, oh, well, you should control your community. He goes, well, I can't do that. Yes, you can. You influence your community by your behavior. Now, I'm not saying that you can control them one by one individually, but you can definitely set some healthy boundaries and tell them that what's right and what's wrong in your community, instead of just fucking off and, twiddling your thumbs over here. But he would quite honestly be nothing without the time and the money and the items and the effort that that his fandom, like his community, has put into him and his friends. Maybe he would be someone, but not as much of who he is without them. And it's kind of fucked up, because he's taken so much for granted, going as far as to mention to Boo that she had fucked him over after calling him out on his disgusting behavior and holding him accountable. And that basically just proves that he only cares about his reputation being ruined, and he will only ever care for his reputation. And that's why he goes to great lengths to hide his past and any mistakes he may have made. And just to add on to that, like, he did like a whole 180 after applying for Jambassador. whole 180. And mind you, most of these issues stemmed from April, May, and June. 3 months. And then I stayed silent about it for a while until Boo and a bunch of other people came to me and spoke up about their issues. So I made an original post that actually wasn't even fully directed at him and Boo's relationship, which is baffling that people thought that. But, you know, to each their own. Probably should have been more specific about exactly what I was talking about. But it was mostly just my experiences with him. And the amount of stalking and harassment I got after that, again, just mind-blowing. It's definitely something else. But he doesn't have any sort of empathy at all, unless it benefits him. And it's just, I don't understand why someone would be like that. And, you know, in regards to Boo, seeing how negatively this has affected her, seeing how paranoid and scared she is because he has a bigger following and, you know, they live together and he has a power hold on her is terrifying. To the point where she goes to her friends, like me and other people, and her family, just literally talking about how scared she is. And the fear that she had after the original call-out post was made, this one right here was made, and she just freaked the fuck out. No, that should never be put on anyone. No one should ever feel fear from someone that they used to trust and love at all. It's just, it breaks my heart because I've been in that exact same situation because all of the drama that originally happened when I was Sunny Hobie and he was Clay's and all of that going down. And just it felt like the whole world was against me. The whole world. And if honestly, Patch is not a good person, but if it wasn't for him making that shitty content critique, then I wouldn't have as much balls here standing up and speaking up about it, even though it's been a couple years. Because, like I said, he would bribe people to take down his videos, threaten them, all sorts of things, and just manipulate you because he doesn't want people to know that he used to be a scammer and a hacker. And anytime that he's had any sort of community, he has only ever taken from them. But he has gone as far as to attack her about that call-out post. Again, misgender me and attack me about it indirectly. Misspreading info. And instead of handling these miscommunications with his ex-girlfriend, he's only ever continued to be verbally and emotionally abusive towards her. Invading her privacy, being manipulative and invasive too. The original day that they broke up, I think around her birthday or around that time, was whenever she was messaging me about him and was asking me like how he used to be whenever me and him dated and how I first met him. And I told her the truth. I'm not gonna lie to you about how he used to be. I thought he changed when I came back, which is why I defended him against Judden and Jumpy and like all of those people, and why I defended him, because I thought we were friends and what they were doing to him was wrong. And I will always defend my friends, and the fact that he took that for granted and immediately did a whole 180 and couldn't even defend me when I was being doxxed because of his community and because of his own negligence, just it speaks volumes. And the whole claim that like she's trying to make him homeless, in this case his homelessness is a choice. I'm not saying, okay, again, I am not saying that every homeless person makes the choice to be homeless. That is not at all what I am saying. I am saying that some people choose that. Your behavior and your actions will always speak louder than your words. And if you continue to mentally abuse the person that you are staying with and manipulate them and say horrible fucking things to them and belittle them, then yeah, I would move out too. And if you became homeless after that, then that's not my problem. And that's quite simply not Boo's problem. Shouldn't have thrown out that like her grandma's Tupperware, shouldn't have ignored her, should have communicated like the grown-ass man that you are, and instead you didn't. So like I'm saying, like she's not trying to purposely make you homeless. At this point it is a choice. The fact that he makes a monetized video about her mental health and talks about her family issues, which he has absolutely no right to do, and puts her at an incredible risk. It was not at all his position to point out her struggles and health to the world. That is her story to tell. And if he actually cared, he would understand the severity of what he's put her through, being fat-phobic towards her, making snide comments about her body and things that she should embrace and be proud of. Because honestly, Boo is gorgeous. Live, love, laugh, Boo. Like, I'm not just saying that to say that. Like, I've always thought that she was really, she was really pretty. But I'm not saying that I fully agree with all of what Boo's done. I honestly believe that both parties are in the wrong. I know with me making this, it probably seems like I am dick riding Boo, but that's really not how it is. I'm just quite simply... I'm just a silly little guy, you know. I'm making this to leave here for him to have a wake-up call, and if he doesn't, he doesn't. He's had more than enough chances throughout the years that I've known him. He's been doing this shit since like 2016, so you'd think by now, about 7 years later, he'd get his shit together, but apparently not. he's overall someone who should not be making content for a children's game. Again, with the racism, transphobia, fat phobia, and just overall the narcissism and manipulation that this man emits is enough to kill a Victorian child. It's fucking insane. He's done more than enough damage over the 4 years that I and many more unfortunate souls have known him. And in the end, he will only ever care about numbers, whether it be his view count, subscriber or follower count, or the money he makes off of you all. I hate saying this. It probably doesn't sound like it, but I can't really control the tone over my voice. I can't tell what tone I'm using, but you will never be more than a number to him or a pawn to him. Nothing more, nothing less. That is quite literally it. And as sad as that is, it's honestly what I've gathered from all of this. All of his behavior over the past years that I've known him, and how quick he is to change up the content to try to make views off of something, and as soon as it doesn't work, he switches to something else. And the fact that he full well knew that monetizing that video and sitting there for 30 minutes crying on stream to build it up, and then the release of the video that was monetized, by the way, don't forget it was monetized, making money off of something shitty, it really does speak volumes. So overall, this was made more or less to just hold him accountable. Me and many others have tried to before, like I said, just to be bribed to take our shit down, and to be threatened. And nowadays some of the things on him seem to be outdated, so I'm leaving this here as a warning for him, or a tribute for him to get the help he obviously needs, and for him to straighten himself out. And just, quite honestly, it's probably best if he leaves the community for good, because he's said multiple times he's going to leave and then he doesn't. Which sounds funny coming from me, but I haven't logged onto the game, and I don't actively really involve myself too much with the community, just the people that I am friends with that are in it. So you can't go saying that I've come back when I haven't. I stream different content occasionally, but overall, my heart aches for everyone involved, and I truly wish that none of us experienced this. Furthermore, please stray away from Lalaa, AJ, aka Lakin, and find other content creators to watch that may actually care for their community and the Animal Jam community as a whole. Anyways, this is Wells, signing out.